You can see I have my newly acquired 560 SEC in the shop up on the lift, and we're going to give this a really good walk around and inspection. And at the same time, there's a few things I'm going to want to fix. You know, there's a few things that bug me. One of them, believe it or not, is the windshield scratches. Now, this is a very well-maintained car, but I tell you, almost every one of these cars is 20 years and older if it has the original or close to the original windshields. They're going to have a few minor scratches in them from the wiper blades. And so is the case here. So I have my assistant over there with the tool, with the cerium oxide, and our special paste. He's buffing away on those windshield scratches. I basically told him, I said, Jonathan, what I really want you to concentrate on is when you sit in the driver's seat over there, I don't want to see any scratches. I don't want to have any glare coming back in the windshield. So that's why, you know, when you're driving these cars into the sun and there's scratches, it's just irritating. Okay, I know, maybe I'm being a little obsessive, but there's also some things in the engine compartment. Now, that's a beautiful engine compartment, but maybe not quite enough. So let me take you up there and show you some things I'm doing up there. Then we're going to get it up in the air, and I'm going to show you underneath this car. You will not believe the condition of this car on the bottom belly pan of the body. As you can see, this is an exceptionally nice looking engine compartment. This is kind of all original. Remember, this car has just a little over 100,000 miles on it, but there are some things that I can spot. Number one, there's yellowing, discoloration along the core support. That seems to be pretty common. At one point, somebody sprayed that ridiculous engine detailer stuff on this engine because you can see it yellowing here on the ABS and along the firewall back there. So I'm going to tackle some of this discoloration here on the core support, and the only way I'm going to get this out is with rubbing compound. You can see over on that side we've already polished just above the right side headlight. Now we're going to come in here and try to polish this out, and of course clean all this up. We're going to have to get down inside the inner fender panels, and then finally I want to make this air cleaner cover look a little better. These are tough because they get spotted from cleaners. This is obviously some sort of etching on the aluminum from some type of cleaner that was used to clean the engine. And the only way to get that off is to polish the aluminum. Then you end up with a super bright, shiny air filter cover, which isn't really all that stock. So I'm going to experiment with how to tone down the brightness, so to speak. And there's a lot of little areas in here that I want to clean and detail, and over there too as well. So we're going to kind of detail this engine out. We're going to detail as much as we can, leave this car as original as we can. We'll come back and show you the result when we finish up. Let me take you on a leisurely stroll underneath my 560 SEC, and let's see what we can find. Do we have any problems? First off, of course, we're looking for rust. You can see this is one super clean car underneath. The other thing I'll be looking for is any evidence of leaks. We have a bit of wetness on the rear end. Even the exhaust system is in excellent condition here. I'll kind of glance up at the flex disc as I pass underneath the drive shaft. Now, if you look off there to the left, you can see some wetness on that pan underneath the floorboards. That's going to be a sign that I've got an oil leak up ahead. And we've got oil kind of blowing down underneath the car when this thing's out on the freeway. The transmission looks pretty dry, considering its age. Okay, now I'm looking up here at the oil pan. There's a little bit of wetness there, but it looks like most of the wetness is over here by the steering box area on the right side. So this is going to take a little more investigation. I want to find this oil leak because it looks like it's one leak that's blowing down underneath the bottom of the car on the driver's side. Okay, coming up to the front here. Wow, look at how clean this car is. I think I'll just wash it underneath detail this all out, and I'm going to end up with a show car. I can put the mirrors underneath it like you see at those hot rod shows. Here you can see the pitman arm coming down from the steering box. It's pretty wet. And you look at the center tie rods, wet, and that crossover member right up ahead of it is fairly wet too. So it looks like the leak is actually coming from up above. Let's go in closer, take a look up inside that engine compartment towards the cylinder head. Maybe we got a leaking valve cover gasket. From this picture, looking at the rear of the oil pan and that center cross member, you would swear that the oil leak were coming from the oil pan or the oil pan gasket. And that's where you got to be careful when chasing oil leaks. You can't assume anything. Even if it looks like, oh, that's where the oil leak is, you're going to have to look real close. You may have to wash the area down and run the engine. But I think the oil leak may be coming from up higher and actually leaking down into this area along that cross member and then blowing backward and getting on that floor pan that you saw earlier. So let's take a good close look up inside the engine compartment, see if we can find any other clues. Okay, now I'm going to crane my neck and really look in there. It's really hard to see, but I'm seeing some wetness in a very suspicious area. Knowing this is a common problem, I think I found it. Look at the wetness along these power steering pump lines and up into the hose area. I'm going to go up here and look at that flexible hose, which is very common for leakage, and sure enough, it looks like we have a leak coming right out of the power steering hose.